Y'all had better grab onto your seats because this news is about to rock your boats. But at the center of the spotlight is none other than Janet Jackson. And while the Jacksons are famous for getting into scrapes thanks to their plastic surgery and past history with drugs, today's video touches something more raw, something that we've often overlooked ever since the Jackson name took a front seat row in the world of music. Not to worry, we know how you always like your tea served right when it's hot. This is why we're bringing you the real deal just few hours after it got out. And believe me when I say, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. If there's one thing even worse than dealing with the negative stigma from the general public as a celebrity, it's becoming a celebrity in your childhood. Now you're probably wondering why it's a bad thing after all. It's a guarantee that you'll live the rest of your life in luxury. Well, here's the real shocker. This couldn't be any further from the truth. Could you imagine a bright young child being thrown into the Hollywood spotlight with all their charm and innocence? Sure, they might get paid handsomely for it, but unfortunately, their parents or managers always end up managing it because, hey, they're kids, they don't know anything about money. Right? We've seen the same thing happen to stars like Justin Bieber, Britney Spears and Toni Braxton, who was raking in millions while her label basically paid her peanuts that could barely register at the counter in a dollar store. And what's more, she eventually even went broke because she had to keep up with the pretense of being a rich kid. And that's part of showbiz. I mean, everyone was hearing her crunch all these numbers and she was expected to dress like a high school kid? Nah. There's just no way in heck. And don't even get me started on Taylor Swift and how she almost got ripped off by Scooter Braun and the infamous Diddy, who was holding his artist's masters from them up until they decided to man up and call him out for it. Now, we've been seeing this pattern being repeated for so long, but no one expected that the same thing would happen to Janet Jackson. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, hold up for a second. Are you talking about the same Janet Jackson? Michael Jackson's little sister and Tupac's flame? The same lady who loves to sing about control? Yes, it's the very same Janet Jackson. While Janet has been putting on a smile for the whole world to see, rumors are being passed around in her social circle about how Janet Jackson might be a damsel in need of a rescue, cause it looks like she's handing all her business moves to someone else. Now, we all know that doesn't always turn out the right way. Especially when the someone else in this case is an overpriced, sneaky little cunt like a particular Braun, but I'd rather not mention names. But it's even worse. Let's take a stroll down memory lane when Toni Braxton was the talk of the entire industry, releasing award-winning hits like Unbreak My Heart, among a couple others. No one knew what was really going on behind the scenes. On the outside, Toni seemed to have it all. A big screen career, fame, and money. But behind the scenes, she was drowning in debt, stuck with a shady record label that had taken her hard-earned cash, barely paid her, and made her look like she was living a lavish life to the media. To top it off, she was also dealing with some serious health issues, which were later found to be microvascular angina and lupus. Now, isn't that the same illness that nearly took Selena's life? Then Oprah walked in and tried to turn her life upside down.
Money, like net worth what?
Negative.
Negative?
Negative, yeah.
And how did that happen?
Wow.
Why did you have to file?
Well, I had to file, first of all, because I was, like you said, I was broke. I had no money, and I was very surprised. But let me also start by saying it wasn't always like that.
You'd think Oprah would have been there for her, right? Knowing what it's like to struggle like that, especially as another black woman? Well, you'd be wrong. Instead of offering a helping hand, Oprah went right for the jugular. She blamed Toni for being reckless with her money and even called her out for buying fancy stuff. But it got worse. She made Toni admit that her careless spending led to her bankruptcy right in front of everyone. Even though she knew that Toni was already dealing with the backlash from reporters spreading these same lies, Oprah didn't care.
To my record company, and I was so happy to be there and working with fabulous producers, and they introduced me to everyone, and I met everyone I believed and I had faith in everyone, and because I allowed all my finances to become everyone else's finances, that's pretty much how I got here.
And that is the key.
That's the key.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%?
100%. Because it's my fault, it's my fault because I trusted and I believed in.
That's just cruel. Tony was totally caught off guard. Can you imagine how you'd feel if someone you looked up to, one of the first female billionaires in the entertainment world, and a strong voice for others' rights, suddenly became a laughingstock on TV? Think about the shame, the fear, everything that would be going through your head at that moment. Even if she said that to someone with a short fuse like Cardi B, I'm pretty sure a brawl would have broken out then, and we'd remember that interview as the infamous Cardi and Oprah Winfrey hair-pulling match. But Tony was surprisingly cool about it all. The fact that a public figure like Oprah, who's known for speaking out on whatever she believes in, added fuel to the fire was just icing on the cake.
And everyone, and because I allowed all my finances to become everyone else's finances, that's pretty much how I got here.
And that is the key.
That's the key.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%. Because it's my fault. It's my fault because I trusted and I believed and it gave me these people. It's okay. And I know no one. I went to college to be a school teacher. And I came to Atlanta and I met all these wonderful people and I trusted them and they believed in me and my talent. And I was like, they have to be like.
But you trusted them with your money.
I know, right? I really did.
You did?
I really did.
So you didn't handle all your checks and sign all your checks?
I didn't do that. I thought I was on top of everything because I like to think I'm a smart person. So I'm on stage singing and everyone, the good old guys, you know how it is, pat the girl on the shoulder. Oh, it's okay, everything's fine. You just go sing.
So would you, for instance, did you, would they send you money? Would you be on some kind of, does your money go to somebody else, for example? Or do you take your own money?
I would get my money and transfer it over.
To other people?
To other people. Sometimes it went directly to those people because, for instance, I'm out on the road. I know all these, and I would watch your show and I'd hear you say, you and Bill Cosby, and you say, make sure you sign all your checks.
Sign all your checks,
things.
yeah.
But you started that way.
You didn't believe us?
I didn't. I just believed in everyone else. I believed in everyone else. It's just, it's
I understand.
difficult. I'm trying to master the artistry, the singing, and I'm singing on stage, and I'm on tour for almost a year, and
Oprah made it seem like Tony's money problems were just about making and spending money, but that was a total lie. Tony later shared some eye-opening details about her record sales and how much she was actually making, but Oprah didn't even bother to look into that. Instead, she just made Tony feel even worse about herself while talking about how she had bounced back to become a billionaire.
Feel in this situation because, I know you came from, middle-class parents, father's a preacher and all that, and I came from lower middle class parents. And I think when you haven't had a whole lot, then the idea of being broke isn't so bothersome because you're used to being broke and it's just a state of being. But when you've had, first of all, I didn't know Gucci made silverware. When you had Gucci silverware and baby grand pianos, and you're used to wearing $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 gowns at a time, and spending $500 on a pair of shoes, it's a long drop. So how does that make you feel?
It's hard to explain because...
Well, it looks like Janet might now be heading down the same route, because just recently she was roasted on social media for making insensitive comments about Kamala Harris, and the negative criticism from her fans and the world alike doesn't seem like it would be going away anytime soon. However, people are now claiming that it's all because her brother and manager Randy Jackson is brainwashing his sister and doing a terrible job when it comes to managing his sister. It all started when Janet Jackson went for an interview and repeated the false claim that has been going around about Kamala Harris not being black in an interview. Talk about a whole new shade of shady. Who makes such insensitive comments about someone else's race or skin color? But then again, we've all seen it happen during Obama's campaign, right? The interview took place on Saturday, right after the Guardian newspaper ran a piece about the control singer. When the interviewer asked Janet what she thought about Harris becoming the first black woman to be president if she beat Donald Trump in November, Janet said, "She's not black. I heard she's Indian." Even though Harris broke history by becoming America's first black and South Asian female vice president in 2020, Janet continued, "Her dad's white. That's what I was told. I haven't been keeping up with the news for a while. I heard they found out her dad was white." The backlash on social media was quick and harsh, with comedian D.L. Hewley calling the interview out for sounding like a Trump rally and even criticizing the singer's plastic surgery. In his own words, he said, "It's kind of ironic to question someone's race when you're breathing through a white woman's nose." Zrania, he tweeted on X. Her inner circle was shocked by the interview and worried that the fallout could be worse than what happened with Nipplegate after her infamous Super Bowl performance 20 years back, because her comments could damage her reputation as a supporter of marginalized groups. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer has used her music to address social issues like homophobia, female empowerment, and racism, and her hit song Rhythm Nation is all about bringing people together through music. How can she sing about Rhythm Nation and make comments like that? Zrania, an insider, said. "It doesn't sound like her. I don't know what got her into this." The insider also mentioned that Janet doesn't really watch the news anymore. She lives in her own little world. We found out about the outrage while Janet was partying with her crew, including designer Christian Siriano in Paris. Another source claimed that Janet and Randy just wanted to let it blow over and weren't planning to deal with it. Meanwhile, a guy named Mo El Masri, who supposedly managed Janet, issued an apology on her behalf to BuzzFeed. But Janet later walked it back in Variety, saying El Masri doesn't work for her. They also said the Jackson siblings wouldn't comment on the interview because they were all mourning their older brother Tito, who died last week. Things got even more confusing when People magazine published another apology, which they updated after the rep told them he didn't represent Janet anymore, according to the article. El Masri later said Janet and Randy fired him after trying to improve her public image and her fans' opinion of her, and this is something I don't deserve. This isn't the first time El Masri has claimed to manage Janet. In August, he announced the singer's upcoming show in Las Vegas as her manager. Janet's PR team later made an official statement, but strangely, they didn't mention El Masri speaking on Janet's behalf. But multiple sources say no one in her team knows who he is. Janet's brother Randy is making all the decisions regarding her career, but regrettably, he's undermining her reputation due to his lack of expertise. Janet is handing over control to Randy, and the public is puzzled by his handling of her career, especially since he lacks any professional experience. A rumor has even spread that Janet is covering all expenses and following Randy's lead, who is known for his support of Trump and belief in conspiracy theories. However, the situation becomes more serious. Janet mentioned Randy as her manager in an interview, stating that he's the reason her music hasn't been released. She had planned to unveil her Black Diamond album and tour in 2020, but the project was never brought to fruition. When questioned about the abandoned album, Janet expressed deep regret, saying, "I feel terrible about that. I've recorded a lot of music, a lot of which is just gathering dust. I went to my brother, and I believe he's just waiting for the right moment." Sources, however, have indicated that Janet lacks sufficient material for a new album and hasn't recorded in a studio since before the pandemic. Meanwhile, Janet is wrapping up the second part of her Together Again tour in London and is set to return to Las Vegas for a new show at the end of the year. Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Is Janet Jackson's career taking a nosedive because of her brother, or is she at fault for the way things are going? And if you liked this video, don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe icon, 'cause there's more where that came from.